and welcome back to Creatives Chat. Join us as we pick up where we left off between Peter and KingDow in our after show convo. I'll be tagging along for the ride.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
wearehistorically.com, Conscious Brand Apparel, and
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
join us as we chat about who knows what.
Okay, so we ended with a super loaded question, but it just opened up another door of inquiry. So I'm really curious, you talk about you have to question yourself, what would you do? Like, this is your last day. Like, what did you say to what was your answer for yourself? Like, how do you want to move? How do you want to live in this life if this was the last one? I'm curious, what was the essence of the mantra or the essence of that inquiry that carries you to keep pushing each day with that consistency that you were speaking on?
Yeah, it honestly is just the different messages and words that people will give me of saying I have one fan that I randomly so I like to just randomly pass on my business cards at work because I realize this everyone can be a fan, everyone can be a supporter. We think we have to wait till that we're discovered by someone. No, your neighbor could support what it is you're doing. You just don't go talk to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's when I started moving that way, I realized okay, this is one way to tap with the people. Just go to the people. But a fan that I met by doing this is this mother of I think 3 or 4 kids. But she told me, she's like, yeah, my kids, they see you as uncle now, and that's I'm like, whoa, that's just stuff like that. Or another fan, they told me I'm the reason why they're still here breathing. They thought about hurting themselves many times, but seeing my constant messages on Snap and stuff keeps them resonating with love and positivity. And I've had so many others like that. And so I guess and even before, and these are recent, but I've always had stuff like that growing up from different people based off whatever it is I did, even knowingly or unknowingly. I realized that all I have is my word in terms of the message and what I have to say for people through the music, through speaking. So I have to make sure everything I say is a statement that's going to inspire the next generation. So I guess, for me, how I want to be remembered is just someone who wants to uplift, and so when I realized I just want to be here to uplift people, that's when I started to get blessed with so many different things. And even people in my inner circle, they always tell me King, without you helped me realize that even within this hard work of being an artist, that we can still have fun, and that was just cool to hear because I take myself very seriously, but behind closed doors, it's focus mode. But when I'm with people, I bring that focus, but I still bring that yo, we're still having a good time. We don't have to. It's not we have to get it out the mud type energy. You know what I'm saying? We're still out here having fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you and Rusty can attest to that. When you guys are working on Creative Chat and stuff, it's a busy work, but you're still having fun and able to have deep conversations that add to whatever it is you guys are doing. So yeah, man, I just want to be that light for people to help shine the light within them. You can take my light and cultivate your own type of thing. So
I love it. No, and I think that right there though is I like to use the word legacy for that. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, is because they're so caught up in the rat race of just trying to survive right now, they don't even think about the future that they want to leave behind. But that's the kind of the key indicator for me, for someone who's trying to live consciously, is the fact that they are living with life knowing that it's A, can't take it for granted, but B, I'm going to make the moves that's going to set myself up in the future to be in a better space than what I left it. Right. And I think that right there just goes to show the compassionate wave that I really do see most people writing, because it's the one that, I guess you would say, it rings the most true to our heart. So I think that's interesting in terms of being able to tap into that as a musician, and just in terms of just the I guess you would say your motive and drive as a musician in terms of the groups and networks you're trying to build just from the different scenes that you're a part of. It's really cool just to see manifest just like that. So in terms of like the future works for King though, what you got going on? I'm curious. Like you're dropping projects left and right. You're always doing these videos. Like you got all the like music videos dropping. Like what's the next move?
Yeah, man. So in terms of Spiritual Eyes, we're just gonna finish the year out just dropping like I want to have a video or a visual to every song. That will probably 90% happen. Like there might be one song that may be left out, but basically have like a visual to all of the music, which is going to happen, and people will see that in these next few months. The show is coming up. Next year, friends of mine, we're working on like a joint project. More on that later. Don't want to spill the beans yet, but next year that a lot of that year will be dedicated to this joint project we're working on. Outside of that, I have so much music in the backlog. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how I'm gonna like put it out there. But yeah, that's what I got going on, man. Just this album and like more music next year. I'm writing a book. That's another thing. The book is called Listen, which I'm basically just talking about just really like tapping into just understanding the inner voice within you. And every chapter goes into these different sectors. I kind of like took a sabbatical I'm almost done with it. I took a sabbatical from writing because once COVID was not a thing anymore, like music opportunities started hitting me left and right. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm not just an artist who's been in the cave working on content. I also have to go perform again. So, but then that happened. I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget that book though. So I have to come back and put full circle. So I'm also working on a book. I'm also working on documentary part 2, the Dow Doc part 2. We dropped the first one in 2020 during this pandemic, where I basically just like gave people from start to finish my career as KingDow that started in 2018 up until now. And so that growth of like where my mind is. So the Dow Doc part 2 is essentially just going to let people see what that's like post pandemic, where I am, where things are going and all that cool stuff. They'll get to see like the online shows I did and then mixed in with like the shows in person and where I've gone throughout that and just the change of my music. So yeah, a lot of content.
Right. Well, I guess that's one thing right there, though, is in terms of just the mindset before all these different social medias that you've been integrating, you know, the experiences you've had getting back into you performing again, like how has KingDow's perspective changed from last year's KingDow? Like how does the current KingDow stand in terms of the evolution and growth and recognition of things?
Yeah, I'd say like, well, so last year was interesting. First off, I don't know how you guys felt, but like, I felt last year was the longest year of my life in terms of like, there was so much that happened within 1 year. Like pandemic aside, like, I'll just speak for myself. That's the most I've changed as a person, like ever. Like, so at the start of the year, like, so end of 2019, I met a lot of people within the local scene in terms of the hip hop scene and all that stuff. Before that, I felt like I was always putting on shows myself, and I would run into artists at shows, but I wouldn't really go to jams or knew where stuff was happening until like 2019, end of 2019, where I started to network with people and get invited to stuff. So fast forward, I met all these different connections. Top of the 2020, you know, like I was doing interviews. I was like getting into some podcasting with some other friends. I was like doing a couple of shows of mine and with other people. COVID hit instantly, and it's like, okay, interesting. We have a pandemic, never been through that, but I got to see how people shifted, how I shifted, and it was like 2020 honestly just felt like its own century away from everything else, like just within that bubble. And I was 25 going on 26. Once my birthday hit, that's when I realized like, oh, like it's about love. Oh, it's about I'm the most important. Like it's really about what I got to do now and how that's going to affect people around me. Everything I do affects people around me, whether I notice it or not. But I have to be okay with myself first. These are the thoughts going through my head. And at the same time, there was like a lot of weird things within my relationships with other people that happened that had me level up again going into the winter. And now here we are, you know, 2021, losing friends and family in the spring. And then I had to go through that was like, okay, like, I mean, I've had people pass, we've all had people in our lives pass, like, oh, your auntie so-and-so that that was like cousins twice removed, you know, you may not have seen all the time, but they were part of your life, but they passed away, and you're like, oh, that's sad, but you weren't close to them. Now having people really close to me within my immediate circle, whether it's immediate family or friends that I've done work with pass, going through that turbulence of like, wow, this is what it's like to lose someone, like having to struggle and go to work and like cry and like I didn't want to be here anymore, not on some suicidal stuff, but I just want to go away, like just really go away from everyone and understand what that's like, and then tapping back in and being like, hold up, I had to go through that so I can help others who have gone through similar things, because again, I'm an artist, I'm the voice of the people, so I have to like use my words to like show, yes, this is how I feel, I know you feel the same way, but everything happens for a reason and no one really dies. So saying all that to say, going through all of that, KingDow and my name meaning King in Harmony, I'm realizing that everything, time is there's no such thing as time. There's a continuation of the now, you know. So I understand there's a continuation of the now, and within that now, I have to do something. Like every move I make, it is important, no matter how small it may seem.
See, and this is where I take it to the next level, because, you know, yeah, I completely agree in the sense, you know, it's like we live in this continuous now, but the only way to truly be yourself is to give every ounce of your being to the now. All of your attention, all of your detachment, all of your love. And when we allow that to happen, we enter into this tensionless flow where we can just be. And life and the universe and our higher self just kind of expresses itself through you. And I think that's the magic right there, is when we can get to that point of just pure playful expression again, that's when we're doing it. And it's no different than when we were kids, you know, it's just finding what really resonates with our heart. And that's the cool stuff about, you know, creative expression and tapping into the different mediums of expression itself and art, is that you get a chance to really play again. And that's something that to me is just so unfortunate that not many people get to experience or witness. But, you know, I think that's the world that's changing, is more and more people like yourself pushing the independent artist aspect, and just to see like what you can do. It's going to start to inspire even more people simply through just being you. And that's the kind of magic aspect about, you know, when we really come into mastering and governing ourselves, just life just starts to blow up and unfold in such dope ways.
It's crazy, man. And that's why I love like being like an independent artist, having like independent forms like yours where people can like really speak what's on their mind. Because we could easily just like sit here and like do that robotic industrial, like, yeah, you know, music and like life and politics, and people would be like, okay, they would bypass this, like this is like every other thing I've seen. But we're risking, like, I don't want to say our lives. I know our lives in a sense, you know, because there's probably some fanatics that are like, what are they saying? But like, we're risking our being and our brand and everything to speak truth. Like, speaking truth is like, it should be easy, but it's not. Like you're taking a risk, because the powerful thing about the truth is that stubbornness. Like, it just like, so imagine lies are a web and the truth is a rock, and the truth just like goes to that rock and just breaks it all. It's like, no, fuck your webs, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like yeah, like truth is like, it's that powerful, and you have to like deal with it and realize like either you go away or you accept this is what it is. Whereas lies, like, they're like these sticky things, webs that you have to try to peel apart to get to the truth. So yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing what we're doing, because like you said, there's others that resonate with what we're saying, and it's going to inspire them. J. Cole said this in a rapper. He said in one of his interviews, he said like, he may not be the one to change, but he knows like his words will inspire the next person to do something that will change the world for the better. And that's the way I see myself, and like what we're doing is like, yeah. I mean, I see that we are changing stuff with our voice and how we're coming together to speak this, but this is going to create that next right president for the world, or that right, you know, artist or whatever that is, or even even like a label outside of what we've already constructed. Like what we're doing is creating that next generation of people that's gonna like really do something that's gonna change, especially now with the youth where they are, man. Like, it's crushed my heart to see like kids having to wear a mask, or like they can't really be around friends at school, and they have to see their teachers and family from a screen. Like, that's not the way we're supposed to live at all. Like, that's not my childhood. how my childhood was or my siblings' childhood. So to see kids like, I don't know, like 16 and younger having to go through that, it's
During really transformative, impressionable years too, like such disconnect and separation and isolation.
yeah,
Yeah,
man.
it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
a heavy one.
yeah. We're creating essentially like just like yes robots in a way, because yeah, kids aren't able to express themselves, and if they say something, oh, just give them my iPad. It's like, what? At 3 over the iPad? I was reading the dictionary at 4. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Right.
so
Well, it creates a culture that's kind of really entrapped in fear and confusion and doubt. And I think that's, I think the human experience, we already have a lot of issues, or at least, I know professionally, I've seen a lot of people, most people, and even myself included, have dealt with issues of self-worthlessness. And I think that this is just amplifying all of that stuff even more, where it's completely taking people away from themselves and their truth and their understanding of things and even their common sense, because nothing that's happening right now really is logical. So I think that's the thing is, it's meant to kind of create this hiccup in people's progression, and we'll see how that manifests years from now. But like, I think it's important that we kind of create the precedent. And before I touch into my point, I just had to charge my computer and my plug fell out. So 1 second.
no, for sure.
And then I will continue my point because I wanted to say something about that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get this back going. So I think there we go. I would say one thing that was really important that you touched on, though, is this concept of, just what you're consuming and the cultural aspect. And I think that's really the ultimate transition into what's kind of going down right now, is that you're finding people who are done consuming culture and they're now creating their own. And that's the avenue that I really think is the most important thing here. Because, we can tie it even with the CTU event, where it's like, that's creating something, that's having people gather together with a shared intention and continuing to build something beautiful in the moment, real time, letting the flow and the source just express itself freely. And that's the stuff where I feel like we're going to help people. You've mentioned the word a few times. That's how we really break the matrix. And truth is that we can't keep feeding it. It's this vicious negative feedback loop and gross cycle, and the only way it stops is when we stop spinning the wheel.
Right.
And I think that's kind of already happened in a lot of ways. I think it's just kind of like naturally just slowing down on its own, and then we're going to spin it a different way. But it takes us being like, keep doing our thing, in the sense of creating content from a place of compassion to really take the next steps forward.
Definitely.
It's intentionally creating it, though. I mean, it's like
intentional.
Intention to set the purpose as to what the impact would be, and to work from backwards. Like, this is the impact I want to create. This is the experience I want others to have. And then work backwards. What will that take? Well, it takes commitment, it takes follow through, it takes action,
Yeah. But you have to have that original seed. I like that. Well, because that just goes into like almost like a textbook, 101 brief, Spark Note version of how to manifest things. Is for any person out there listening, I hope this resonates with you, in the sense of, if there's anything you want to do and achieve in this world, you're never going to do it or achieve it or experience it if you don't put yourself in the position that you already have internally. It takes you to, because that's the type of tactfulness it takes for you to get in those positions of opportunity. Okay, well, I want to be super successful with all this networks. Okay, well, I would need to be a little bit more confident in that. I need to be able to know that like my idea is, the shit. I need to be able to know that like everything that I'm really putting myself behind is going to carry that weight, that people would want to jump on board with it. So it's like, I don't like saying fake it till you make it, because you can't fake it. It's simply, you have to try to emulate what you want, or you'll never get there. And that's where it's like, you have to look for because I used to be very anti, like, oh, I'm going to do me. I'm just going to do me, but then I was forgetting all the lessons and missing out on all the opportunities to learn from greats who have already done it. And that was like a real humble check in my early youth, because it was like, oh, wow, they have a lot better ideas than I do. And instead of letting that discourage me, it was like, okay, how can I make that my own? How can I continue to make this me? And that's the kind of magic sauce, so it's, when you say like independent artists, I think one thing to really make sure that I want to highlight about you, King, is that you do you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are yourself. Like, you express yourself how you express yourself, and you can see that you're a person that's committed yourself fully to like discovering who you really are and what is really you, because you keep fueling what gives you love. You keep fueling your passions, and that's something that a lot of people don't have the courage to do nowadays.
You can't
And
fake that either.
Oh yeah.
right.
I will even check myself sometimes in terms of, like when you like, in terms of like, you'll like check in with yourself, like, are we good? Is this really this? I'll be like, am I really like this? Is this really me? And myself is like, yeah, this is you. I'm like, oh, dope. Okay. I'm not faking this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's cool to like just pat myself on the back. Like, yeah, like I've always, because I've been this way since a kid. I always like randomly dance in front of my parents for no reason. And they just like sit there and clap and stuff. So having that confidence from them, and like, and my mom just told me this literally a week ago. She's like, yeah, like I used to like whisper to you and your siblings when you guys were kids, like you are great and everything as you're sleeping. I'm like, wow. So it's just like that new remembering and like positive reinforcement is the reason why like I can be myself and like go talk to whoever, go talk to that girl. I don't know why, sidetrack. I don't know why, guys. It's okay to talk to girls, man, and like just they like confidence. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, but anyway, because like now everyone's scared to like approach, and vice versa goes. If you see a guy, like it's okay to go talk to him, or like if you see like just the power of approaching, you never know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So people really need to like, yeah, just realize like closed mouths don't get fed. Like you have to like step into who you are and show the world. If you take a couple steps to the world, it's gonna take 10 steps towards you. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Because yeah, man, like I said, we live in a continuous now, and so because of that, you have to be yourself now, not tomorrow. Yesterday's past. You have to be yourself now, and that's key. So,
and that's just something that, again, in terms of your own journey, what has been some of the moments in your life where that kind of that consistency was tested?
Yeah, it was in the beginning, in terms of the beginning of KingDow, because like I did a show, my first couple shows, and then after that, like when you're like when you first do something, and then you're like, okay, that happened, but was that luck? Can I do it again? Can I do it better? Like, do I have the right people? Will the same people come? Like all these different doubts happen. So I'll be like, okay, we'll wait. We'll just take our time and see and all that waiting and waiting. It's like, okay, like people are going to forget, and I'm going to forget myself, like the purpose of why I'm doing this. So I have to get back on it and just like kind of just force myself in, like blindfolded, just go straight forward with it again, and just like forget the consequences. Who cares? Because there is no consequence. The only consequence is not doing it. So yeah, man. Yeah, I think yeah, it was tested in the beginning. I mean, and like that's why like with this whole pandemic, to me personally, when people are like, how can you, like I'll have like different friends who would see my TikToks and be like, I love you putting yourself out there, but like, aren't you like scared about what people are going to say? It's like, no, I've already been tested. The test was being scared to be myself, and I've surpassed that. So like a pandemic, like a lot of artists, they kind of took like a step back in terms of like creating, and they thought it wasn't the right time. I'm like, this is all I needed. This is the perfect time. Now that all these eyes are here, I can really like ram this truth and like my message and who I am for people, So yeah, it's like if people were smart, this was like, and not just with music, with anything, clothing business, cooking, whatever, like, and with the power of the internet, people are looking for something to support or to like distract them from all the depression, what's going on. And what better distraction than another person probably on the same level as you trying to elevate themselves. And then going back to like through the community, through unity, the idea of people putting the power back within the people, not thinking that it's the celebrities or who all these people who no one appointed, by the way, in terms of not just politicians, but like celebrities, and big ups to them, because they're putting food on the tables for their families. But celebrities are celebrities because they were chosen by the industry within this matrix. But like when people choose themselves, that's when like-minded people, there's more like-minded people in terms of like not all of us are on that weird level, but like all of us understand, oh yeah, like I miss music and being outside my backyard or park, and I have a lot of friends and family that we can all gather together. Or like this some person who lives in Connecticut who I've never met, but they're speaking some truth that I understand, I can resonate with, and they probably work a 9 to 5 just like me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man.
Well, I think the thing that really just emulates and kind of echoes through your words is always just that concept of when you really commit yourself to being yourself, life begins to open up.
Yes.
And that's the stuff that I find is always kind of a fascinating switch is like, when did you give your full dedication to like KingDow?
Oh,
Like,
when did I?
Yeah, like and like when did you start to see things in that sense of just kind of like life being like, okay, here, opportunity start to manifest?
It was definitely the end of 2019. Like it was did a show at Tim's Tavern, and shout out to Aloha. She's done a lot of photos for me. I was just sitting there with her before like I went on. And I just like, I don't know, out of nowhere, I was like, this is all I'm doing, Aloha, forever. And I looked at her like, this is it. And she's like, I feel you, you know? And so like ever since that conversation, it's just like everything I did was just like KingDow, like how I moved and like how I just like really connected with people. I always like put that in the forefront. So it was definitely 2019. 2018 was the beginning of it. And I was in it and I was enjoying it and I was playing with it, but I really didn't understand. I didn't understand how much it was going to change for me and people around me, you know, because again, if I didn't really take it as seriously, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I wouldn't get to this point if I wasn't playing bass since I was 10. And, you know, like, so all these different things needed to lead into the next things. People need to understand. So, yeah.
I mean, we are the sum total of our collective experience from birth to the last breath.
I can imagine KingDow just, I'm all in. I'm all in. I can imagine like at that point in time, you just like, okay, that's it. This is all I want to keep doing. I want to keep doing this. Yes. Yeah. I can see your love and passion for it. It's contagious. It's extremely contagious.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, it's definitely getting to that like Kanye contagious. Not to the point where I have like a freaking like picture of myself I wake up to, but like I love that's why I love artists like him. It's like it's you have to be your biggest fan, number one, because like you said, it's contagious, so you feel it too. Like other people will feel it too, because no one wants to support someone who doesn't support themselves. That's
yeah, or it's all melancholy about it. Like, oh, I guess you can support me.
Dude, all right, let me keep it stuck. I hate that goddamn energy. People that are like, that's why sometimes I hate the word humble, because I feel like people think, oh, I have to be meek about who I am. And like, that's one thing I hate about the art industry, where we're scared to like really be like, yeah, support me. Or you know, like, yeah, that weird energy. I guess you can support me or whatever. That wishy-washy shit. It's like, okay, you're not really about it. Like, I'm not saying you have to be a cocky asshole about who you are, but have more confidence and assertiveness with that energy. When people ask me, "Oh, you're an artist?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do this, this, this," and people don't realize, like, not that fake it till you make it, but like, you can finesse like with your words how we express ourselves. Instead of saying, I'll take myself for example. Like, okay, I work at Coca-Cola but I do music on the side. I never say that. It's no, I'm KingDow artist. I've been in the newspaper. I've done these shows, and on the side, I'm a merchandiser. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that energy, like, phrasing, because our words are spells. Like, even if you're having a conversation, we're creating spells that are going to affect our lives forever. You know what I'm saying? So like, people don't realize when they're telling people what they do, you're casting a spell negatively or positively.
Ooh, take that a next step further. I got you. I beat you, Rusty, on that one. But it's like, but you think about how many people even they almost chain and ball their own identity by being like, I am this, not I do. Like, very subtle but powerful thing I wanted to highlight there. Rusty, your move.
I'm going to bring it full circle because we use this word flippantly. And I'm going to bring, when I say this word, you're going to go, aha. But what you described is, this is my profession.
Yeah.
And I'm professing it. That's what it is. A profession is basically a declaration. When you say, hi, right? I'm a professional. I'm professing this all the time. This is what I profess. I am this. This is who I am. And so when we make that personal declaration, it becomes a profession. It becomes a personal declaration. And when you own it, you say, I am a full-time writer, or I'm a full-time artist. And you own it. And I mean, who cares what everybody else thinks? It's like, wow, that's a really good feeling. Like, I like how that feels, when you say, I was a real estate agent at one point in time. And when I was transitioning out and getting out of that industry, it was just like, somebody asked me the checkout, what do you do? And I said, I'm a full-time screenplay writer. And boy, I walked out going, I really am. I really am. Oh my gosh, that's who I am. And not only did I feel it, I owned it. It felt good. It's like, yes, this is all I really want to do is write content, create, produce, and give me more of this, Like, I didn't jump out of the bed in the morning to go sell dirt.
Right.
When I get out of the bed, I don't even sleep because I can't stop writing, or I can't stop producing, or whatever it is. And, and so here's my tip. Like, if you're not really in love with what you do, well, maybe this is more of an insight. If you're not really in love with what you do, are you really in love with yourself?
Ooh.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Slow motion this side.
Nothing even necessary after that. Are you really even in love with yourself? Like,
God.
Can you be comfortable in your own skin? If that's, to me, is the test.
You have to rewind that one back, Rusty.
That's the bar for the rest of life, man. Like that's crazy. It's true. Yeah, dude. Like, are you
don't
really
love what
yourself?
you do? Can you really say you love yourself? Just like, ooh, how many people are just like, oh, spicy question.
Dude, that's why, like, okay, so going back to like my TikToks, when I'll put out like a positive message. Like,
I love it.
I said like one, and it's funny, I did it both on Facebook and then I did it on TikTok, and both were kind of similar. Only a few people, but like TikTok is where I feel like more of the trolls will come in. But I was like, it was just a statement. Just don't cut your hair. I explained why. Like, your hair is part of your body. Like, it's antenna. It helps you to, it's connected to the sun. Your hair just gives you strength and XYZ. And so a lot of people resonated with that. And because they're like, oh yes, thank you. I used to like hate my hair or this. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying this just not out of like, thinking like, oh, you guys, like, why you cutting your hair? But like a lot of people, they realize, oh, even though he doesn't know who I am, like, I have been doing this because I don't know why. And so like me letting them know like your hair is beautiful, they're like, you're right, and they stopped. But then you have other people who are like, what are you talking about? You can't tell people. And I'm like, and it's, instead of like giving them the same energy they give me, like, you're a dumbass, you know what we're talking about, I'd be like, I'm glad that you're in love with what I'm saying, but I hope you use the power of the word to help yourself and not hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because like we're a lot of us were trained to, we want to, when we're hit with fire, we want to hit back with fire. But I've realized like, no, like people are always going to give you their energy, whether good or bad. And the fact that they're giving you energy or attention, that means they recognize you in some way. So when people hit me with negative stuff, I'm like, you're recognizing me. Here, let me give this to you and give you some more better energy than you were giving me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's how I try to move every time. When people be like, oh, this person was talking shit about you, I'm like, I know they're in love with me. It's cool. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, for real. Like they're thinking about me. Like they went out of their way to think about me and tell you this so you could tell me. So it's cool. You like, you don't have to say, like, I'll take that energy and give it positive to someone else. So that's how I try to move in a lot of my things. And like
that's one way to diffuse an argument, is just agree with somebody. Say, from your perspective, you're absolutely right.
Exactly. Exactly. No, because going back with the word, if you can't, you can't. You're right. But if you can, you can. So it's like, yeah, like from your perspective, I may be what you think, but another perspective, I'm also this. And thank God for that other perspective, because if we only had yours, who knows where we would be, So
that's a little dig at the end.
But so that's the beautiful thing about life, is that it's all perspective, and how you choose to.
I honor yours, just honor mine.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And that's just always gets lost in the sauce, is just the fact that each of us are divine beings, and that's the beauty of it, And I think that's the real issue with conformity and just consuming culture and just all the things that really take us away from the human spirit, is we disconnect ourselves ultimately with ourselves, by seeking, identification, love, all the things from outside of us, but we don't come to that recognition and realization that all the answers are within us until we usually go through, like those moments of waking up, some type of darker time, some type of unforeseen event, because if life happened exactly how people wanted it to happen, it'd be super boring, but also incredibly insane. I think it'd be very dangerous. But that's why I honestly think like the world is kind of crazy right now, is because we have a few amount of people who, in terms of the corporations and organizations that run stuff, that literally influence every decision from every, government globally all over the world. And that's the key. The key here is just to recognize that if people really want to create a different world for themselves, if they really want to create a different world for the future, like it starts with each of us. Like we have to really look within ourselves. And I just want to highlight Rusty's words again, because it's like, we really do have to highlight that aspect. Is like, are what you doing in your day-to-day life, is it sparking joy that you can say you really love yourself? Like, is it something that really brings you to wake up? And I find that, helping people, being, providing inspiration doesn't matter. It's like saving one life is enough. And I already know that in that sense, being able to impact people's lives from a wellness and fitness level, from the spiritual level, like it knows no bounds to how good it feels to pay it forward and just to bring your skills to the world. And I think that's one of the reasons why the independent aspect, the entrepreneurship, it's such an alluring title for a lot of people, but it also scares a lot of people, because I feel like a lot of people they haven't given themselves the time to really figure out who they are and what makes them happy.
And the beautiful thing about the three of our positions is that we already know what that feels like. So it's easy for us to translate that information, because I felt that I used to feel that way. I always knew what I wanted to do. I was just afraid to do it. You know what I'm saying? And so understanding that, I understand that fear. So when I come across someone who's like, yeah, I want to do this, like there's this, I was in a studio session and this female singer, I asked her, I'm like, yeah, so you love singing, right? And she's like, yeah, but I wasn't like, I don't know. I want to do it, but I'm scared. I'm like, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but you got to realize you have no more distractions, like you only live once. You never know what's going to happen until you try. Like, at least do it. And then, so you can see what's on the other side of the door. The problem is people know where the door is. A lot of us just haven't opened it yet. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just got to turn that knob and see what's behind.
Well, that goes to show, like, we're going to keep building off the profundity of Rusty's statement earlier, where it goes, one of the questions that I remember asking myself distinctly years ago, especially in like the spiritual search and just my own, like what I really wanted to do with my life, was at that kind of transition period where it's like either put up or shut up. Like you're either going to do your own thing, or you're just going to stay in that, you're just going to keep working for other people and complaining. Like you have to really determine, like, are you actually going to be about it? Because it was that point where I had to make a decision. And I think that's the biggest thing right there, that a lot of people, it's that trust and love in yourself to really go beyond into the unknown and the uncomfortable. And it takes a lot of courage. I think that's why, people, when you do dance your dance and do your thing and really express yourself and just own what you do, especially as the independent aspect or the entrepreneurial angle, people vibe with that and resonate with it because you're resonating with it. You're radiating it. You have the excitement. You have the love. And no matter what, people are going to have to respect that, because you're a sovereign being. And I think that's just something that naturally, like, put any animal, put any person in a cage. We seek freedom innately. We seek liberation. We seek that type of openness and love of life. And whenever that gets infringed upon, then we are entering an unhealthy state. Like textbook, no matter what the situation is, from professionally to physically to mentally, emotionally, anytime we're constrained, we suffer. So I think that's the real thing that really liberates, is that when you really commit yourself fully to yourself and you live in the truth enough to act, like, boom, life is instantly going to like level you up.
Go ahead, King.
No, I was just going to say, like, and like you said it a couple sentences again, Peter, like, we're not chasing careers or like our dreams. What we are chasing is freedom, period. Like that's the whole goal. And that's once you've reached that freedom, whatever it is for you, you beat in the game. 1,000%.
And that freedom is love. Whatever you love, it gives you that freedom. Whatever allows you to tap into that flow and time skip and literally lose reality, like lose time, get lost in time. That's one of those things that it's like, yeah, you love that. you are completely enamored in it. You're completely playing. You're enjoying life to its fullest by just like, oh.
I was going to
Russ.
say, yeah, I identify with King. I mean, I knew at 22 what I wanted to be doing. This. But at that time, a couple things held me back. One, I was waiting for the right moment. I was waiting for everything to fall into place. I was waiting for the limo to pull up and roll out the red carpet and say, come on in, let's take a ride. You know, so I was just waiting for all this external circumstances to be ready without getting myself ready. Right. And so how is the universe to know that I'm serious about anything if I'm not taking the actions? Then it becomes wishful thinking. It doesn't become an intention-driven thought, which an intention-driven thought is typically followed by intention-driven action. and so if all you're doing is just thinking about it, well, then that's just basically dreaming, right? And so when you say I'm going to make my dreams reality, well, that requires action. The catch-22 is I don't know what actions to take. Where am I supposed to start? I just want to be this, right? And so that's really where I want to say this. This is the second part, is that I'm thinking that I got to do something special, that I got to be something special or someone special or offer something special. But as I grew, let's say, wiser, as I became more enlightened, I realized that my specialness is my ordinariness. To me, it's ordinary what I do. But to somebody else, who may not be able to have what I do naturally, it's extraordinary. And I'm going to take Michael Jordan as an example. I take KingDow as an example. Use KingDow. I see him play bass and I go, oh my gosh, I want to learn how to play bass. You know, and you're just plucking away and you make it look effortless. And you're just, you're having fun. And I'm digging off that energy and I'm feeding off the energy. And I'm going, you know how many hours he put into that? And then I'm kind of going, well, I don't know if I have the time. Well, that then starts to diminish. Well, if then I don't have the time, then I'm not really in love with the idea.
It's deep. It's true. It's true. And like you're saying earlier, looking for the extra, like, oh, once we get X, Y, and Z, like, until people get out of that loop, they will always be chasing that external until they realize, like, it's funny, like, we didn't have to run the race. We already ran it. We just had to, like, if that makes sense.
But that does make sense to me because I've experienced that. Like, I was so concerned on how other people perceive my running. Am I running right? Am I running in the right direction? Am I wearing the proper clothes? Rather than just suiting up and just being. I'm trying to create all these external circumstances to improve myself without actually working on myself.
Exactly, man. Yeah, exactly. Like that self-improvement. And everyone's at their own pace in this marathon. But what we need to realize, like again, time is illusion. The now is now, and you have all the time you need. We think we have to rush, and like once we reach age 40, it's over. No, like it still just began. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people didn't get to where they want to be until their late 40s or whenever it is. Not like there is no parameter with any of this when it comes to when you're going to get married or whatever. So
I did read a book probably in my mid 20s, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And there was one chapter in there that says, truthfully, men don't hit their stride till they're 50.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see football coaches starting their career at 50.
Crazy.
You know, and so part of me just kind of went, hey, it's okay to be a late bloomer. Maybe that is me. Maybe I won't, sure enough, I didn't hit my stride till I was probably my mid 40s. Where I really, where things started to click and I dedicated myself to really being the best me I can be. But there's no age limit.
Yeah.
There's no criteria.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and it's just
Go ahead,
false
Peter.
false constructs set by society that people think they have to achieve things at certain time frames and things, and they just don't do it. Like, I know so many people that have quit on so many things because they're like, oh, I just can't do it, it's way past that. I'm like, who said? Like, when you say those things, you're literally limiting your experience.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild, man. That's why I'm glad, like I said earlier, like we talked about earlier, like I didn't get certain opportunities I wanted at a younger age because I wasn't at the mentality to deal with it. I probably would have squandered it, whether that was money or whatever it was. Which is why I think like being a late bloomer a lot of times is better because it took you so long to get to that point. You're gonna value it a lot more than someone who would have got it. Which is funny about this life is that we don't value something until it's gone, or as much as we should if it's easy to get to. So yeah.
The defining moment you kind of touched upon in the part one of our creatives chat, where you kind of talked that you were dealing with some loss this year, and death is a very sobering event when it happens. It causes inner perspective, inner reflection. There's a grieving process. There's a whole, certainly a recalculation of who I am and what am I up to. And I had kind of a near-death experience where I got involved in an accident and I saw my life flash before my eyes. And I thought I was a goner. I walked away from it, changed. I went, okay. Suddenly there was this sense of urgency. I don't know how much time I have left. I can't afford to waste another moment. I have to cherish every moment and make every moment count.
Wow.
Not a lot of people get that though. So they live a lot of their life just in that fear.
I think that's the lesson we can get from death is appreciate life.
All we have is life. All we have is life. That's real.
Yeah. I don't really want to end on that low note because it actually, I think that's the whole, someone once told me years ago, and it's starting to make sense now. I didn't 100% agree with this statement, but now I'm beginning to realize the profundity of it. I was told death is appropriate. As simple as that sound, boy, that pissed me off. Like there's supposed to be some way we can cheat death.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that's our contract. We only have a certain amount of time. We don't know how much time it is. Make it count.
Right.
And last thing, I don't want to go crazy with it because I know this next thing we could go another easy 2 hours that we don't have right now. But I that's what I've seen this COVID, this vaccine thing is like us trying to cheat death, us trying to get past something that was going to happen in any time frame anyway, and not accepting like this is what it is, this is what needs to happen. So how are we going to adapt to it? If we're still here, how are we going to adapt to it? You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah, we that's the thing with all these modern medicines and different ways we try to prolong us being here. There's a reason why born just Childish Gambino, he said born just to die, that's a human curse. I don't see it as a human curse though, it's a human blessing because some all good things must come to an end at some point because something better is just around the corner. Because none of us who are still alive have experienced quote unquote death yet, and that's another beautiful thing that's coming, but we can't force that. That's gonna come when it needs to. We have to enjoy what's happening now. This isn't the beginning, but we have to still be in this now, so we're ready for that next level. Once we've learned the experiences here, otherwise we're going to keep getting reincarnated in other forms.
Many
I
lessons
definitely believe in life after death.
Oh yeah.
And typically that life happens after someone dies. Doesn't necessarily mean I believe that yes, after my death, I met my spirit, my energy. I'm just a ball of energy. I'm molecules, people. So
we are beyond the molecule. We are the essence of all.
But from death springs life. And what I've also realized over the course of this last year, that all creators are destroyers.
Powerful.
Wow, that's true. That's yeah.
100%.
You're talking about alchemy. Yeah, that the idea of creating something out of nothing and taking lead and turning it into gold. Yeah, for sure. That's another thing I've been like in terms of the manifestation practice I've been working with is understanding. Okay, this is the situation. How I'm gonna deal with it. Going back to like, I have a day job. How am I gonna work with it? Oh, I can network and like gain new fans and new experiences and through people being here. Great, awesome. And now it's no longer work. It's a movie, you know. So yeah, it's everything.
Love it.
Yeah, everything is possible.
You got any final remarks before we bring a close to our after show?
Yeah, check out Spiritual Eyes, like on all streaming platforms. If you're ready to be awakened, like and be inspired, Spiritual Eyes out now. KingDow on all social media platforms. KingDow. Add the one for Instagram. Check out my TikToks if you need some positive messages to start your day or end your day. You know, like follow me on Instagram. Again, like all my social medias, I'm always posting some content, whether it's music or a message. And yeah, just stay tuned to the next thing. And my DMs and all that's always open. I reply to every message, every comment, even though TikTok's kind of blowing up. Like I'll stay up commenting back to all 300 random comments or whatever, good or bad. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, as always, King, I just want to say thank you again so much for coming on Creatives Chat and just blessing us with your authentic self. I think it's one of the most, important things to see about people nowadays is that, you're always positive in the one in your own corner first, and then that cup just overflows. So with that, I just got to say thanks again for hopping on. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and roll the outro.
Okay.
That concludes this episode of Creatives Chat. Thank you for watching. Join us every Thursday at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Daily Time as creative minds get together and chat about who knows what. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to our sponsors for making this show possible. Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.
Thank you guys. That was really fun. That was
Yeah,
wow.
flew by.
I learned a lot. It flew by. Time skip.
I wasn't expecting on commenting, and so what came out of me was unexpected.
Yeah, man, some fire. That's what.
Yeah.
Bars.
But the whole King, seriously, man, everything that came out of your mouth was gold.
Thank you.
Gold, baby, gold.
Gold, baby, gold. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much.
I was thrilled when Peter said, "Hey, we got King at 4." Yay!
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys. It's been awesome to see, like, I've learned a lot from watching you guys grow and like the guests you have on and stuff you're doing. So yeah, and I appreciate you allowing me to come on a second time. Just like, I feel like the first one I was like an infant in terms of like really understanding who I am and how I do this. Now I just want to express, this is what I learned. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So
Yeah, you've definitely had a growth spurt.
No, I appreciate it.
Oh, I love it.
And subscribe to be notified of future episodes.
Yeah, rock it.